Norwegian Academy of Fine Arts and came to the US in 1992 and received a Master of Arts education from the University of South Alabama, and he has a Master of Fine Arts from Southern Illinois University. His watercolors have been exhibited nationally and internationally, including the annual international shows of the American Watercolor Society, the National Watercolor Society, and the Transparent Watercolor Society of America. He's won more than 30 awards in the national and international watercolor exhibition, and he's the first place award winner for the 50th and 51st California Watercolor Association's national exhibition. So he's going to be painting a portrait today on, I think on Yupo, right, Dongfeng?
Yupo.
So here he is in all his glory, and you can show what you're going to be doing. Thank you so much.
Okay, hello, my California Art Association, the watercolor folks. I'm a new California, residents here. And
Hey.
yeah.
Hey.
Welcome.
Yes, just about like a year, and kind of a, half year residence here. I have to get my school retired and at the end of this semester, so completely moved to California. And I have two grandkids here, and so I'm going to be here with you, and I hope that I participate in more activity with our group. Anyway, let's save the time. So I'm going to switch to my camera and show you the art supplies, everything, and before I start my demo. Oh, by the way, if you have a question and you don't feel embarrassed to ask me, because I still have a language barrier, I hope that I can put my idea through and you understand me. Yeah, right?
May I speak here? If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and then I will relay them to Dongfeng.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay, let me switch my camera here so you can see my table. I have my drafting here, but before we start that, I want to show you my art supply. So I'm going to move this temporarily, and I'm going to put here on my chair. So let's see. Of course, brushes, I have more here. I have a flat brush. I have a round brush. These two round brushes, it's a Chinese ink painting brush. It's a soft, hair, and I'm going to explain the why. And there's also the Chinese ink brush, and it's a heart hair. It's a brown heart hair. And I have a smaller, flat brush. I have a mop here. I have smaller, soft hair. So you can see, basically, I use them. And then I also have a more, like this is probably the 1/2 inch, or closer to 3/4, 1/2 inch. I have a more of a narrow one. And so I can work with smaller area. That's my brush. And so here you can see I have a lot of brushes here, and hide it here. I can, select anytime. This is my, and except those brushes, I have these guys. I have these guys. And I also have some like a fancy one. You can see this, I have a, plastic one. I have all these, and then you can get from Hobby Lobby, from, Michael's, anywhere. So all different. So it's not very expensive. And, I have some stencil as well. I can provide you with the website where I got the stencil. They have all different kind of patterned flowers. You can get tons of that. It's useful. In my workshop, I'm going to show you how we're going to use that. Why? And I will explain why. Okay, this is my stuff. Also, I have more stuff here. You can tell thick Q-tip, and this guy is my wife just happened to show me, and I think it's perfect. It's like a little, like a tissue scraper.
Actually, a curette is what it's called. It's very sharp.
Yes, it's a metal one, but it's all right. So you can reshape that, and you can use a little plier to, put a little sharp. I mean, it's a corner, a more thinner. So what I use them to scrape the paint away off from my paper, and especially for the hairs, this is perfect too. And this is a pointed, metal. It's not really a pen. It looks like a ball pen, but it's a metal point. And also I can use them stick, bamboo stick, everything you can use for credit card and rag, paper towel, tissue paper. These are all for the Yupo explorations. Why is that? Why Yupo? On the regular watercolor paper, and you will do a very sweet and clean wash everything. And of course, you can do some textures, but in the Yupo paper, it's just very good at the texture. And, especially when you apply with the different tools, and you're going to see that. I'm going to show you some of the, I just painted it's just probably an hour ago, I painted this. You can see this texture with water spray, with everything. And I can spray on that, make it wet, and I can get more of a texture. See that? I can get a more of a, lift it up, get more texture. I even don't have to do anything. That the water drop will push the paints away. It just, if I wanted like a, little, see, I need to have more water. Yeah. If I have a stencil, spray the water and press your stencil, or you can use one of those kind of a sponge roller to roll the paints on the palette and paint it on the stencil and print on that. All sorts of ways that you can work on. And check with the YouTube, and I think the George James, I believe that you guys probably know his name. He passed away, I'm sorry, but yeah, he did a lot of those Yupo design with those texture thing. It's great. It's a great paper. And so when you look at that, it doesn't look like a, complete traditional watercolor type thing. And you can get lots. So that's the reason that I was so attracted into the Yupo almost for more than 10 years. And it's of course you can create a more this kind of sweet watercolor, but this is the type stuff I really, really love to explore, to work with.
Dongfeng, I don't mean to interrupt, but there's a question about where can you get a good supply of your Chinese brushes? That was a question brought up in the.
Okay. I tell you what, you can get it from Amazon. You can get it from, and there's a website I'm pretty sure you guys know, a TEMU.
Oh, Temu.
Temu. The only
Yeah.
thing that I just don't know the quality is, with those websites. And I used to carry them from the manufacturer in China because I have a workshop or an international watercolor trip every year. I used to carry them back. So I still have a few stuff on this myself, and I don't know how many, and then I can bring to the to the workshop. But I'm very picky with those, the brushes, because I need to have a very pointed, and also I can press them down like this. I can use like a flat brush at the same time. You can tell it's not very, very smooth flat. I can have some textures on the top. You see that? So just check at whatever the various sources, and the only thing that you have to see and the brush quality. You know what I'm saying? So, and also the one of the Oriental art supply located, I don't know exactly where is that. It's called the Ningyan Oriental Art Supply. I think he been in the art supply market for many years, and but he's more provide the those quality brushes to the Sumier Group International. So check with that, and you can get brushes from him from his store called the Oriental Art Supply, and it's located in California. He has some like quality brushes. Any other questions, Liz?
No, not at the moment. I
Okay.
did have a question. Do you seal your paintings when you're done?
Oh, I use a kind of a UV spray. I can't remember the name of that. You can search online, and it's
Okay.
called UV spray. I use that to spray on the top of my Yupo paper painting.
Right.
Okay. Of course, another benefit for the Yupo paper painting that you don't need to have a brand, quality paints. And you can tell that I use this as student quality one. And, it's all right. You can get very dark and very light. And so you don't need spend a lot of money on buying those kind of artist type of Winsor Newton or Daniel Smith or anything. So I use a two type of the paints. Two paints, you can see my fresh two paints on this palette. And because that way I can get a very, very dark, harsh edge, and I can use my cake, travel, you can see those are cake paints. It's not really, it's dried, and I can lick them up. I use a two type. Any question about that? If we don't have questions, now I'm going to, kind of put my paper here and start my demo. Excuse me. So I pre-drafted this, the Tibetan girl. And so I just visit Tibet, southern part of Tibet back in 2017. And I took a lot of pictures. On the demo, I wanted to address this, the two category. The one is, they are all fundamental knowledge. Number one is about like a, drafting and, color knowledge, everything. And then the second is the technical part and how we're going to use a brush, how we're going to mix a color, and how we're going to glaze on the second and third layers on the top of the Yupo paper, and what kind of brush then you're going to use, right? So let's start it. Number one, when you start with the drafting, that you have to treat everything like a shape, not a form. It's going to be very complicated if you treat everything like a form. See, I have, can you see from my drafting line there? See, and there's an artist that you can check how the, let me see the artist, and I just love his painting, and I love that, called the, I want to get close to my camera. It's a British artist, Yupo. And I think that he's a pretty well known back in the 1950s, 60s. And what I like him is that he get everything very flat. It's a shape as well as the construction of the form. And a flat shape, see, flat shape, this is a dark, and then you can see the forehead and its shape, and the cheeks, there's a shape on there, receiving the light, and it going toward the bridge side of the nose, and you can tell that. I would just start it, and you can use your own way, and how you're going to split it. And of course, I have to go with the structure of the face, all applying. So, I'm sorry? Any questions? I'm sorry?
No, I think you're okay.
Okay, so if I use my paint brush and I lay down my color, I know, follow the shapes, kind of I can develop the form. Number one, shape, and then form later. That's the number one thing that I want to address when you do the drafting and playing. And of course, when you do the drafting, you start to indicate it light and dark. So you can see my eye area, the nose, under the nose area, and the shadow there. Of course, the lips, and of course here I don't have to indicate it too much because I already make a clear statement. This is one shape, and this is another shape. That's the shadow areas. So light and the dark, that's extremely important. So plain shape and light and dark, and so that's of course the color, and the color, you have to understand how you're going to match with like a local color. Local color is basically a mid-tone color on the skin tone, and then you're going to deal with the dark, and you're going to deal with the gray dark. So you're going to bridge them together gradually and make the form. So that local color is very important. Of course, when you work with the whole face or the whole hand or arms, you're not going to use only one local color, only divide it into dark and light. You have to see, and even under this kind of a fluorescent light there, and you still can sense, you still can observe carefully. We have a cool color, and we have a warm color. You know what I'm saying? So color temperature, extremely important. So that's number two in the color. Local color, dark and light. Number three, it's temperature. Without the temperature, your color is not going to be very beautiful. And eventually, I saw a lot of the YouTube demo there, and you see the beautiful, very sweet portrait. But when I checked on that, and it's not really kind of appealing to me, because I see it's only one or two color, and I cannot tell the cool and the warm. So when you check in my painting, my portrait there, you will see a more like a color temperature, and a color, like a dark and light. So that's about a color, knowledge. And so let's start with that. Well, we're painting here. I'm going to explain the technical part, how I'm going to use, paints and the brushes. And so far, do we have any question, Liz?
No. Yes.
No, what was the name of the English artist that you liked?
Ewing. So let me get back here, and I want to Ewing.
Ewing?
Yeah, I want to see that. EUAN.
EUAN. How do you spell the last name?
Did you see that?
No,
Okay.
because it's
Why don't you just spell it
yeah,
out?
I got it.
You got it?
Uglow. Okay.
Uglo. Yeah, Ewing Uglo. And I love his painting. That look at his painting. That even though the ceramic paints the skin tone, but you still can see, the warm and the cool. And it's important thing that you will see how he split the face and the muscle or forms into the plane, flat structure, shapes, and I use that to apply to my painting. Okay, let's start with that. And sometimes another thing that you have to protect your paper because you're not going to use too much of a grease hand and I just happened to have that painting that I painted an hour ago. I cannot add any color because it's too much grease. So you have to use some like a little alcohol or some like a Kleenexes to clean them up before you start the paints. Let's see. So I'm going to work with my first layer of color. I tried to use some cooler tone. See that? Can you see my palette there?
Yes.
So if I have some like grease too much, I just like a little using my brush to clean that. You know what I'm saying? It's like what I said, you don't have to paint a whole lot of a very sweet, if the color go off and that's fine. And so this basically the cooler tone area, you can see the photographs. And Joe, do you have a photo loaded up and to show to the on the screen there?
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Okay, so this is my kind of, especially you can tell in the eyebrow areas a lot of a blue tone, everything. See that? And don't worry about like mistakes because it's so easy to correct. And then my I'll start to think about like using those two. See that?
Mhm.
And I want these two color bridge together. That's so easy. And the pressure on those sponge roller is also the techniques. And then you're going to gain that yourself. And you're going to just swim on the top of that and then to blend it in. See that? It's a and then keep going down, and then you will see those kind of skin tone become like a little, like a cooler reddish. I'm going to use a alizarin crimson, and which have like a more of a cooler tone. See that little kind of a spot there? That's my grease, and see that purple I use my leftover on my on my palettes to create it like a little and I can add a more of a green tone. See, So I'm going to start using the little flat brush to work with more of a.
There's comments that your image is a little fuzzy, Dongfeng.
Oh, I know this is kind of my brush. Every time when I going up and down, I have too much emotion here. So the focus has to take time to get focused,
Yeah.
right? So let me go, it's a little slow. It's focused now. I cannot see my screen there.
Yeah. If you
It's
can,
better. It just kind of pops in and out.
yeah.
So like last time that I'll try to not move too fast. So you can see these two colors are kind of a little similar, and that in reality, I think it's a more of a brown color on that. So I'm going to try to give it a little kind of a brown. I will add more of like a burnt amber or burnt sienna to make a little difference. And then I'm going to bridge these two together. It's still, the focus is a problem there.
Yeah. A little bit.
Let me get more blue here and purple. And when you do the purple thing, that you will see, try yourself to see what the cobalt or ultramarine with alizarin crimson, or just like a what do you call that red light, to see how those purples are different. I got more of an orangey color, and to work with tip of the nose there. And a very, very blue here. I use a cobalt a lot here.
So the question is, does it take a long time for the Yupo to dry?
It's a little bit of a long time, but if you want to accelerate the drying time, and then you can use a blower, so no problem.
Hair dryer.
Yeah, hair dryer.
If you zoom in, will it be a little sharper, the image?
I'm sorry?
Can you zoom in a little to see if it makes
I don't have any way to zoom this because it's not
Okay.
like a camera.
Okay.
The only thing that itself we're going to get back to the to zoom.
All right, that's fine. Thank you.
Let me see here. Okay, I use a little kind of a Dow color, like I mean, it's what we call this kind of a cerulean blue, and to give a little kind of a dull color mixed with like brown, and so to go with see, have like a little grease here, but it's okay. I'm going to press my I'm going to use a Prussian and so this is just too much to I have to and I'm going to use a bigger brush to work with this. Another thing I wanted to remind you guys, a lot of people talk about it. Oh, I cannot paint it like you're very loose. See, those are Yupo's good advantage you can take. Very loose paintings. Very loose painting eventually. Easy. So let's see what we can do with this. And I wanted some like a, like a little smooth. See that? But I want to keep some interesting texture there. So I'm going to randomly and roll over the area. I'm not going to smoothly roll all the area. So some of the area I need to have a little kind of warm tone, like what I told you, that I'm not going to every time that I talk with my student in the school, that I said, just be bear in mind that we are not house painter. We're not going to paint the house and the wall, everything. So from here to here, even that little distance here, we have to think about the color temperature or color hue. And so that way, the variation of paints will more kind of like a spiritual and dynamic, or whatever the word that you can use, or appealing to me. See that? We already have several different colors here, and the cool and the warm, right? And of course, dark, light, it's another thing that we're going to get on. So on the, see, and by the way, while you're using those rollers, and that's the reason I have so many. I still have like at least 7, 8 sets of of those, because for one painting that you're not going to use a very, very wet sponge, because that's a different way. I mean, there's no correct or wrong, because if it's too wet, it's hard to get those smooth. You know what I'm saying? So that's bring another technical issue, questions. Water moisture content, or in other words, the water consistency on your brush, on the palette, and it's very, very important. Where you're going to apply more thicker or more, like a thinner, more liquid. Let's say Joseph Zubik, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I like one of his idea. When you mix a color on the palette or load it up on your brush, you have to think about like the color and the water has like a coffee, and then milk, and then the thicker milk, and the last it's melted butter. Does it make sense, guys?
Yes.
That's water consistency. So you can see my first layers almost like coffee and milk. But when I keep going to the second layer, third layer, especially some dark area, I have to, get a thicker milk and then melted butter. See that? If I want to get this kind of dark here, so can you see my palette there? This is my, the milk. I think that this is only milk. So I have to use my fresh, the watercolor paints here. This is going to be.
So there's a question as to whether you use your rollers on regular watercolor paper too, like soft or.
I tell you what, the Yupo and the regular watercolor is a different paper, and then
Right.
our regular, paper, no matter it's cold press and hot press, they suck it in very fast.
So you don't use the rollers.
It doesn't work. I mean, it might be work if you got like a very very, kind of a lot of water, and they might probably work, but it's not like a Yupo, right?
Yeah.
And you can try, but I don't think that it's going to be like a Yupo. See, I have like a not really a thick butter. I mean melted butter, but you can see that immediately it gets there.
So do you spray the set in between layers so the other under layers don't pick up?
Say it again. What do you mean?
Well, this is the question.
I think they want to know if you, before you go on to the next layer, if you spray anything like to set the paint.
If you want, add the second layer, glaze on the second layer and third layer. Don't spray water, and then that's going to be, ruin you that, because you have to be very careful. That's my next thing that I want to explain. And you want to I want to add the second layer glaze on the top of this, and you cannot do too much water and even out your brush. This is very important. If you spray water there, you immediately lick off all the paints underneath.
I think they were asking if you sprayed anything to set the paint on the paper, and I know the answer is no. You're going to go right over your existing paint.
No, I don't have to spray unless
Right.
I need some like a texture here.
Right.
I can spray. So let's keep going here. I need some like a little lighter color. And this is a very stereotype thing that you have to really make them smooth. And when you smooth them, eventually you're going to lick off some of the paints and make it a little lighter. And also the timing is also another important, factor that, and when you're going to smooth them, you're going to wait until, like a perfect time. And see that this is my second layer. I have to quickly, to do that. And also at the same time, I will see if I have to use my brush. See that I split it and I can work with, and it gives some idea of that little, hair.
Another question is, does your pencil marks wash off as you paint?
Yeah, yeah. Eventually, that's a typical watercolor, like a language there. Some people would prefer to keep some line to show off through the watercolor. But on a Yupo, sometimes you hardly see that. But it's a show off a little bit, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay, and then I want to show you that how we're going to glaze on the top of that. Okay. This is a very important thing. And so this is kind of, cloth will help me to, figure out the water consistency in my brush. So I need a little, not very dry, at the same time is not very wet. Yeah. So you have a lot of grace here. I'm sorry. And I have to deal with that. So get a little kind of a clean and a dry. So when you have a like this, and you're going to press down a little bit more and to get this, smooth. That's my second layer. I probably have to use a bigger brush to work with that. And by the way, this, also you can use white to mix the color. And I have a Rubens brand color from China, and they have all type of blue, gray, blue, everything. So, but here I can use a white to mix some kind of so all what I do is try to see the water consistency here.
So what weight Yupo are you using?
I'm sorry?
There's a question about the weight of your Yupo.
Yupo didn't really have a big difference. Like they have a 90-pound, 140. They have a 200 something, but I like to use 140.
Okay.
And you can tell that I don't really.
So when you glaze, you use more pigment and less water, correct?
Less water.
Less water, more paint?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can tell that I, smooth them down. See that? And I can start with the more of a purple. I have to see here. And I'm going to start work with So you can tell that I have more of a grace on that area, so I have to and all right. This area is pretty much easy to figure out. And you can see I got a little more of a warm tone there. So another thing that you can see, I kind of use a very soft brush to sweep on the area and to bridge all the area together. I have to test it where we need to have like a little dry roller and right, we're going to work on the the features. We need to have a smaller brush to work on with that. Is that the still in focus? The image?
Mm-hmm.
It's a focus, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. Finally.
Lee, just so you know, I wasn't able to put the reference image up on the screen, but I did put it in the chat. So if you're out there in the audience and you wanted to see the reference image, if you didn't have it already, look at the chat. You can download the image from the chat and open it up on your computer.
Okay. This would be great. Thank you, Joe.
And it's still uploading, so give it a couple minutes. Okay, now it's up there, so you should be able to download it.
Yes, I'm not going to finish it soon, so I have to, work this. So you can tell that another thing I want to talk about is like shape and structure, and then the technical part you have to think about like shapes, edges. So these are all the edges, and or even that within those cheeks there's edges because of a plane join another plane. And because of lighting, because of structure. So these planes joined together, they should have edges. And when you see that, most of the time that people make a face is very smooth. That means a very soft edges. And you're not going to use those soft edges altogether. So you can tell that here on the shadow area, and I have to use very, very sharp edges. And then when they, going up with this, nose, the tip of nose here, I have to use a soft. Let me bring a little bit more of a, reddish tone, soften up, and going to be the soft soft edges rather than the so you can see I use a soft hairbrush to glaze on the top of the first two layers, and I don't have any problem, and it won't give me a trouble to lift up your my earlier my earlier layers. See that? I would suggest you keep your palette clean. My palette is always a mess, so you can get beautiful colors. And I was just very carefully working with this, area here. I can highlight here. When I say highlight, I can use a little kind of surprise, intense color to put this. You can tell that I have this like a little half width of the sponge that I cut myself. So that way I just, can work a little smaller area. I'm gonna work here. Now I will put a first layer of the color here is a very blue, cooler tone here. And even that within that eye socket area, it's very blue. And I like to use that cowboy blue and to work with. And also I use cerulean blue to work with the eyebrow. soft hair, you can smooth a little bit. And sometimes I'll keep a one or two brush, like use water and to smooth together, let them dry, and then you become a very harsh. So when you use that to lift up some of the area, it's perfect too. And then for the eye, it's very dark, so you have to consider about like a little, like a melted butter, thicker paints to get on that. I painted pretty loose. Use a flat brush, smaller one to work with this very sensitive colors here. And when the cheek going into that, a face to the light, and it become a very, very, very pink color. So I'm not going to use any like a candy light red. I'm going to use a basically alizarin crimson and a rose. If you have a rose madder, that you probably can use that. Try that and to see. But I have a limited palette here, and if I need a more of a like a little cooler, I probably can tip a little kind of a, the blue tone to add to that, and it's see what's going to happen there. I still have the that little, okay.
So there's a question
Yes.
about how you avoid getting dark outlines when the paint dries on the Yupo paper.
Dark outline.
Yeah.
You mean those pencil line or those brush stroke line?
Yeah, brushstroke line. I think that's what they mean. When I guess you can just soften it with a little water if you don't want a hard outline, right?
Yeah. Anytime that if I don't want a hard line here, I can spray water. And actually, I have a two spray bottle. Here is my kind of oil, cooking oil spray, pumping spray. This is a more smooth, and I can use a clean roller to see if I want to do this. I don't want to have a harsh
Right.
line here, so I can just spray a little water, and then I just roll back and forth and get rid of that. See, it's so easy.
Yeah.
You know, uh, let's see. Here's a too sharp there. You have to really soften up, and I can use my brush as well to soften them up. So water consistency in your brush is extremely important. So you're gonna this is a very, very personal and experiences. You have to get them yourself and to see, to through those practice.
I just didn't know you could layer like that on Yupo. That's just amazing.
Hmm.
It just, like this pretty simple chess experience. So I think there's a much, much, much advantage to work with
Yeah.
with Yupo. Much advantage.
Well,
So,
it's very forgiving, right? Because if you make,
yes, that's a very good word.
if you don't like it, you can just take water and take it off.
Yes. See, another thing, technical part, see that sometimes I use the tip, sometimes I have to, because those soft hair, it's so easy and to glaze on the top of the earlier layers. So without like a kind of a lifting up the earlier layers. That's why I would just recommend it sometimes that you have to get some of these tools, those brushes. See, sometimes that you see this is kind of a typical watercolor language, just kind of a little dot. So if you don't want it too much, and you can just get rid of that.
Lee, this is one of the few times since the pandemic that I wish we were together live because I'd love to see that close up.
You mean that's during the COVID?
Well, we used to have our general meetings were in person, and you could get close to the artist and the paintings, and
Ah,
I hadn't missed that until watching you tonight. I'd love to see that layering close up.
that's true.
Of course, you still can if you want to come to the workshop. You'll be able to do that.
Okay. So I'm working with this kind of within that little kind of a distance of ellipse there, and then you also see cooler and the warmer and the purple. So you're not going to miss that, and you're going to exaggerate. Sometimes I say put a more blue.
Lee, there's a question about the staining watercolors. Do they stain the Yupo paper?
What do you mean to stain?
So there's a certain class of watercolors that are staining. You can't really get the paper back to white on traditional watercolor paper. Is that also true of Yupo?
I have used Yupo before, and things like some of one of the blue
Some
colors.
of the Phthalos, I would imagine the
Yeah, the
Phthalos.
phthalos can actually stain a little bit.
Okay.
I think a Yupo paper is good about that. And as long as you spray the UV, they're not going to stain too much. Because what happened is that those regular paper, they're exposed to this light, and they're not only the color fades away, but they suck it in. So but the Yupo paper is pretty good. I have to put a more blue in to the only thing that don't try to get too much grace on your Yupo paper, because when you paint it's really frustrating. They're not going to take any of the paint, so that's a problem.
Mm.
Joe and Liz, I'm okay with the timing.
You got half an hour,
Oh, okay.
a little over half an hour, so you're fine.
I hope that if I really want to, show everybody things, sometimes I would just, too bad with the timing.
Doing great.
I have to constantly change like my brush, working with.
Beautiful.
See here, there's a typical thing that in the here, even though it's pretty muddy colored, but you still have to tell the light and dark. And you cannot just show them the very flat. And also the edges soft and hard. And you can tell this where you need it soft, where you need a harsh, I mean edges here. See, this is, I need a bit more softened up and going toward the and the pressure is also the important issue about like to work with this. I'm gonna wait until it's dry and I can put another, brush strokes to darken up. And this area, it shouldn't be very, very dark, but at the same time, you have to get some like a little, the gum area. You should put it very clear, teeth line there because, this is going to be too much. But you have to give it a little kind of a suggestion. So that's kind of a lost and found, and to play the important role in this, in the teeth area. I'm sorry, in teeth area. So you see some like activity. I mean, it's clear and sharp edges, but you don't see too much.
So Dongfeng, there's a question as to whether the pigments on Yupo dry lighter or do they stay the same than on regular paper or watercolor paper?
This is pretty good, like what I said, because the paper doesn't suck in a lot of water,
Right.
color. And like what I said at the beginning of the demo, you don't need to get a very good brand colors. Good brand colors is they are really like mineral stuff. They keep their intensity, but because of a paper, they keep intensity, and it's much better than the regular paper. They don't suck into the
Right.
paper.
Okay.
So you can see that, and
Yeah.
even that very subtle, colors that they still see. Show that a very, intense color.
Right.
So I'm going to use a little bigger brush to work with. Just need some like a little.
Someone wants to know what your Instagram name is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I'm not a really media guy. I don't have a well-maintained web page. I don't really use the Instagram, and I don't use the Facebook a lot. So I'm sorry that I try to learn. After I move here and I have a full time in retirement. I mean, it's I'm going to learn more new stuff, especially from Joe. Joe, you're going to help me, right?
I will help you. Yes, we'll get you all. We'll get you all over the place.
Okay. I'm pretty bad with that. And even that we can take the, see, another thing that I wanted to, interrupted this when I talked with Joe. And see here, I have too much of soft one that because soft hair absorbs too much water. And, but I needed some like a definite, so I need, synthetic, hair, brush. So that way, I can get this uh, you know, definite harsh edge there. So here I need have a little soft. So you can tell that I can soften up, you know, even they have like a little green color here. If you press it very hard, it's going to lift some like paints, and even that you use that roller. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, I think I'm going to use a bigger brush, try to finish up. Ooh.
So I have a question, Dongfeng. Do you ever
Yes.
worry about when you use the roller and you use it again, that you transfer paint from the roller over to another area?
I try to get more rollers, and if I need, I don't have to, like use dirty rollers. And I have a separate into several group, and at least a 2 or 3 group. One group that I definitely going to use a dirty roller. I can roll in the palette. I can roll them on the top of that. See, I wanted to find a dirty one, and I can show you that. Okay, this is probably a pretty good dirty one. So I need to have a texture roll on the top, so you can tell I can use those dirty and to get some like a color on the top, and I keep some clean one, especially on the first and second, third layers here. I need a clean one. I need a dry, clean one. Just try to smooth them, kind of like bridge all the color playing together. Do you understand the word bridge? I mean, it's a connected two playing together softly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a between these two. I don't care if I have some I need to have some a pick up this color or this color accent here. See, between the hair and here, I need some a little between color, so I can use some, a not very clean one, and that way I even have some leftover, and I can roll here, and they have some a little pickup that skin tone color. That's fine with me. Does that answer your question? Right?
Yeah.
See that? And I need have this kind of a roll up here because this plane is too light, and I need to have some now if I use my brush is going to take a risk because here, so I'm going to see if I can use my roller and to mix the colors here. And I put them up. So you have to be very careful. Yeah. See that?
Yeah.
And if I think that my rollers is too much water, I can when the cheek's going down and I need to have more dark. It's okay. Some people say don't get a too much dirty color, but it's okay. I have a contrast here. Contrast here, it's a very fresh color, and then the shadow. I don't like to paint a very sweet watercolor because those people in Tibet, they expose it to the sun, very, very, bad every day, and also the bad weather. Their skin tones beaten up. It doesn't make sense. So, I like to reflect the, those kind of type of the hardness. I mean, it's very, very hard life there. So I'm going to another thing that I want to show you that those so don't let them dry, and so you can sometimes this is too sharp and you have to manipulate that. Okay, did you see that?
Yeah.
That's how my little scraper tissue scraper. What the list is a standard word, professional word for that?
It's a curette.
Okay. So that's what they for. And it's a I'm gonna to I don't want this is a so kind of a those. I want this, be kind of interrupted by the yeah. I don't have the time to working with its detail, but just like a let guys, the idea how we're gonna work with.
Still have 20 minutes.
Yeah. Need to get this highlights on.
Can you use Yupo for plein air painting?
Not really.
I didn't think so. Yeah.
Where's the other one? I have a too flat brush. Oh, here. I'm going to show you that how we work with the background. See, that's typical. See that? That's too much grace there.
That's just from your hands handling it, right?
Yes, hands, and also that you lay down on something. See, this paper is really damaged. You have to really get very, very sharp edges for.
Ten minutes.
Okay.
So just to give everybody a heads up, after the demo, Lee is going to send me when he finishes this demo painting, he'll send me a photo of it. And we will include that as well as the reference photo in the video that we'll post up on YouTube. So you'll be able to see both in the video if you want to stop the video, take a screenshot. You could download both from the video and try this on your own at home. And again, if you're interested in the workshop, we have several spaces available. Just go to californiawatercolor.org and you can sign up for the workshop. It starts in late February, so we still have some time. And we're going to be doing some landscapes too, right, Lee?
What? I'm sorry?
We're going to be doing some landscapes as well.
There's an echoes on your.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this better?
So
Are we going to be doing some landscapes?
Yeah. Oh, you mean in the workshop?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Great.
we're gonna do some landscape, but not on the Yupo.
Great.
Yupo is only for portrait. I'll just quickly finish that. Okay, I don't have time to finish that there, but basically you can tell it start to take off this portrait, and I'm probably going to spend another 2 hours or 3 hours to work with, harsh or something and make some area dark. But this is and also in my painting that I used to, make a more of texture, by dropping out of water. And so doing a whole lot of this. Some of the area I need to emphasize a little bit.
Well, I gotta say, that's really a beautiful, a remarkable painting.
Thank you, Liz.
And I think I get all those responses from the audience as well in the chat. They're pretty impressed.
And I really wanted everybody to explore on the Yupo because you can see you'll never have a very tight, style. Everybody talk about it. I want to paint a loose Yupo paper. You can benefit it's the texture and the looseness.
Yeah.
Okay, listen to I'm on time that I can stop, or I can paint a little bit more with kind of emphasize some. You can tell that
So there's still a question as to whether you paint it flat. Is that correct?
I can paint like a little 45-degree angle, but I found that this is that laid down. It's more of a easier.
Yeah.
And usually when I do my workshop, I just put them on the easel.
Yeah.
But this is a much easy way, and you can see the color. Even though I have some like a dirty color, but you won't see that too much. And the very beautiful intensity here on the cheeks. you know, like I said, this need be more. If I think it's too dark, I can go ahead, go over that. And you can see that the this area is going to be not going to be very, very. So if you put too much on the teeth area, it's not going to look good. All right, I think that I'm going to finish that. I can work with the ears, but a lot of places that I need to come back and forth, I can, give a little more of a hair.
I think you truly impressed our audience. You should see the accolades in the chat.
Okay, thank you. If I can do that, you can do that. Okay. See, they have little kind of tools, and it's a pretty easy.
Very impressive.
So, Liz, do you think that is a time? I have to stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. And I hope that everybody has some idea how to work with a Yupo.
And Lee, don't forget to send me a photo of the finished painting when you get a chance.
Yeah, I'm going to take a photographs. I don't know. It's about this lighting or something. I probably.
There's no rush.
I'm going to send you no later than tomorrow. It'd be okay.
No rush.
Okay. Thank
you.
Beautiful. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Thanks for your work. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Joe.
You. See you next month.
See you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.